Hey YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, Pink Lenses. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Shan, and this platform is designed to prevent intimate partner violence and promote safe relationships. But today is a special day. It is my 30th birthday, and I'm so very happy to be able to get to this milestone. I'm very excited for what this decade is going to bring. And for today's video, I wanted to just share with you all some of the lessons I've learned in the last 30 years of my life. I have learned a lot of lessons, but I just wanted to share a few, maybe 10 with you guys about what I've learned over the years, how I've grown, and how I've evolved. So I'm going to get right into it. I have my little notes. I'm a teacher at heart, so I always have to have my notes. Lesson number one that I've learned is that it's okay for people not to like you. It's okay. That is probably one of the most hardest lessons that I've had to learn. As a chronic people pleaser, I have always, wanted people to like me or wanted to get along with everybody. And it's only maybe in the past few years that I've learned that it's okay. Everybody does not have to like you. Everybody doesn't have to agree with your decisions or your choices. And no one's going to get hurt. No one's going to die. And if someone is threatening to harm you or abusing you or doing anything that is harmful to you because they don't like you or because they don't agree with something you're saying, then that person doesn't need to be in your life. And you should evaluate that relationship accordingly. But it's okay. And for that one person who doesn't like you or that one person who doesn't agree with your choices and your decisions, there's going to be 10 others who love you, who support you, and who are going to be in alignment with your vision and your goals and your dreams. So it's okay. Once I really learned that, I was able to set boundaries and I was able to live my life the way I wanted to live it when I realized that it's not the end of the world. So that's lesson number one. Lesson two, your career, your job does not define you. That's a lesson that I've learned over time. Not that I've let my career or my job or my education define me, but I've always been a very driven, ambitious person. I've always, went the extra mile in whatever I do in terms of career, my job, and education. So I have, in a way, let it define me to the point where once I got to that milestone or it got to that achievement, it felt good. It felt like an accomplishment, but I realized that only the things that come from my heart, only the things that really give me joy and fulfillment, really define who I am. And a lot of times we get caught up in chasing that job or that career because it makes money or because it represents a status or a title, and it shouldn't be like that. I've let a couple of jobs go because it just wasn't in alignment with who I was, or it was causing me way too much stress than I was able to handle. So I really take pride in learning what works for me and what doesn't. And only the jobs that give me, allow me to see the influence, the direct influence I'm having on someone else's life, and I'm able to establish true relationship and true connection with that individual or those individuals. Those are really the only jobs that really give me fulfillment. So I've learned to create outlets for myself where I can do that if I'm not getting that in my job, or just change careers completely. I've done that before as well. So yeah, your job, your career doesn't define you, and it shouldn't be the whole of your existence unless it's giving you that joy, that fulfillment, that happiness. So that's number two. Number three, it is okay to say no, even if it makes someone upset. And that kind of ties into lesson number one about it's okay for people not to like you, because saying no, if it means that you say yes to yourself, is so important. And you have to realize that you cannot sacrifice your feelings, your well-being, your best interests for another person, or other people. And I really struggle with that all of my life because I've always wanted to please. I've always wanted to, do what was right. But I've realized that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no if it means saying yes to yourself and what you know to be true within your heart. And even if it causes an uproar, or even if, people walk away, they will live. They will live. So I'm really grateful for that lesson. It's been a hard, long road, but I can truly say that I've learned that to protect myself and my peace and my sanity, I have to say no sometimes. So that is number 3. Number 4, romantic love is not the end all to be all. I hope I said that right. Romantic love is not the end all to be all. I've always been a hopeless romantic. I've always loved love and the idea of love. And I've always been the one that tries so desperately to make things work because of the idea of, having that special person in your life, and made a lot of mistakes and bumped my head against many walls thinking that way. And it's often blinded me to the truth that was right in front of my eyes. So I can truly say that I've learned that romantic relationships are nice, they're fun, they can be fulfilling, but there are also other types of love through your friends, through your family members, through painting, through writing. There are other sources of love and connection that we can build besides romantic love. And once I really got that, I was able to be more accepting of myself, whether I was in a relationship or whether I wasn't, or if I wasn't. And it's taken me probably 30 years to figure that out. But I'm so grateful for the lessons. I'm so grateful that even though I've cried many a nights, and I've, been down and out, and I've been heartbroken over, people who I thought were the one, or people who I thought were going to stay in my life forever, I would not trade those experiences in, because I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned so much about people and life in general. I'm grateful for those lessons. So there's so much in this world. There's so many other things we can tap into and connect with and align ourselves with besides a partner, besides a companion. It's nice. Everybody gets a little lonely. They want somebody to cuddle up with every now and then. I believe marriage is a good thing for those people who believe in it and who, work hard for it. I don't believe it's for everyone, but I do think that we're created to love, and it doesn't always have to manifest itself in marriage or a relationship. So I'm looking forward to exploring, the different types of love and the different avenues we can go in love that's not necessarily so confining, so confined to this definition that society has given us. So that's my lesson number 4. Lesson number 5, gotta turn the page, is you really have to live life with a sense of self-awareness. To be happy and to truly experience joy, you have to have a very keen sense of awareness. And I've always been a very self-aware person. I've always been very intuitive, very always going inward, always in my head, always analyzing and thinking and problem solving, and trying to find ways to do things better, always. And I've always, even in my mess and my mistakes and my shortcomings and my stubbornness, I'm always very self-aware of what's going on around me and what's going on in me. And I believe that trait, that quality has helped me in life so much. It's helped me avoid so many pitfalls that I could have fell into. I've fallen into a lot of them, but I avoided so many others just by being self-aware. And even though it does take me a long time, when I have my mind set on something and I believe in it and I want it and I'm working hard for it, it takes me a long time to come out of it when, you know, I'm shown that, okay, this is probably not the best thing for you. But I eventually get out of it and I eventually come back into myself. And it always happens like that because of my self-awareness. So always be aware, always be mindful of what you have been put on this earth to do, of who you are, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, who you mesh with, what types of careers are best for you, what makes you happy, what makes you smile, what makes you anxious, what makes you frustrated. Be self-aware so you can know, okay, I belong here. Oh, okay, I don't need to go down this path. That's probably been the biggest thing that I've learned over the years. And it's the thing I think I do best, is being self-aware. So that's number 5. Number 6 is people are complex, and we have to learn to be tolerant, or I've learned to be tolerant of people with differences, and people who don't think from my same frame of reference. And I've always pretty much been tolerant of people's cultures, their choices, their personal decisions, or what have you. But just your day-to-day, you know, friendships, and you may have conflict, or your family. Now, I'm not talking about abuse or if someone's harming you, but just, you know, your regular clashes that you may experience. People are complex, and they don't have to think the way that you think. They don't have to see things the way you see them. It would be good if they could, but it doesn't always happen that way. And because we're all different, we're all unique, and we all come from different backgrounds, and we all see things so differently, conflict is inevitable. Differences are inevitable. And we have to learn how to work through those things. Now, some conflict can't be resolved. There are some people in your life that you're just not going to see eye to eye with, and you have to be over here and they're over there. So not talking about those, but you know, as much as possible, you know, your friends, your loved ones, the people who are really down for you and support you, we have to learn, or I've had to learn how to navigate those things, especially when we're coming from 2 different mindsets. So people are complex. That's not going to change. It's my lesson number 6. Lesson number 7, my concept of God and religion. So I was raised in a Pentecostal church, very strict, very big on tradition and rules and regulations. And I've always abided by that, you know, in my childhood. And then I went off to college and got a little crazy. You know, went the other way. But I've always, even in that, kept a very strong relationship with God. I've always talked with God and communed with God. And over time, my understanding of God has gotten a little clearer. And it's not so much tied to what I've learned in the church or what I've learned through the eyes of other people. It's because of my own experience with God and who I know Him to be. And I'm so glad that my relationship with Him has evolved to this point where, you know, I'm talking to Him all day, every day. You know, there are times when I'm in my house or driving, wherever. And, you know, it's not just when I need things. It's just, you know, when I find something funny or when I find something interesting, or, you know, I'm always communing with Him and always asking for strength and forgiveness and clarity and wisdom. So I'm very, very grateful for the relationship that I've built over time. These past 30 years has been a row. And I know sometimes God is like, what am I going to do with this girl? But I'm so glad that He's always down for me. And he always has me in His hands. I know this to be true. So grateful for that. Lesson number 9, your attitude is a choice. That is something that I'm working on, still work in progress. But your attitude is truly a choice. I'm very always been very sensitive, very, reactive a lot of times. And, you know, because I love hard, when things happen, that are not in alignment with what I think it should be, I'm always, very like, oh my God. And, it does alter my attitude and my mood and different things like that. But your attitude is truly a choice, whether things are going right or whether they're going wrong. And I've had to learn to deliberately choose to be positive, because I feel like a lot of times, we see these things on the internet. It's like, stay positive, all these positive quotes, and, your thoughts become things and all this good stuff, right? And it's easy to say, but it's harder to practice. And I've had to literally force myself to make a choice and a decision to be grateful when things are not going right, and be positive when something falls through that I really wanted. It has to be a deliberate choice until it becomes a habit. And I've always struggled with that. If something bad happens I don't like, my mood goes to the negative. When things are going wrong, it's easy to be positive it's easy to be positive when things are going right, but it's harder to make a deliberate choice to still be positive when things are not going your way. So I'm learning that, you have to put that into practice. And when you're grateful, when you express and exude that spirit of gratitude, it does make your load a little lighter. So learning that your attitude is a choice. Lesson number 9. Forgot which one I was on, but the path is not always linear. The path of life, the path of career, the path of education, the path of love, it's not always linear. And because I'm a type A personality, I'm an Aries, so I'm stubborn, firstborn child, so I'm driven and ambitious in every single way. I just have all these traits about me that it's like, okay, I got this goal and I got to get it. And I'm always looking for it to be linear. And I've learned to embrace the path that goes like this, or like, all over the place, because that's really how life is. Rarely you will find someone who made a beeline for success. Rarely you will find that, if at all. And I've learned to embrace and love the highs, the lows, the detours, the obstacles. It's uncomfortable. It's not gonna feel good, but it's reality. And the more you fight against reality, the more stuck you become. And just one thing that I've learned is that it's not a linear path. Like life, motherhood, anything that we experience on this earth is gonna have its ups and downs and hills and pauses and, bumps in the road. So embrace it, embrace the mess. And I think there's a band, someone said it, I forgot who it was, but I was on Instagram, and I think it was Spectacular from Pretty Ricky. He has a podcast, and he said, everybody wants success, but they don't fall in love with the process to get there. And I thought that was so profound, because it's true. Everybody wants to get that end result. They want the cars, they want the house, they want the wife, the husband, the degree, the this and that, but they don't fall in love with the process of, the sleepless nights, the tears when things don't work out. I'm writing a book now. Well, the book is done, and I love to write. That's my thing. I love to read, I love to write, but writing this book was probably the hardest thing I had to do. And I thought it was going to be easy because I love to write, but it's a process. And in the midst of writing, I had to realize, of course, you're going to be happy when the end result comes, but can you still be happy when you're going through writer's block, or you're trying to edit and you're not really making any progress. Like, can you fall in love with the process of that? So I've learned that it's easier if you just lean in to the struggle, lean in to the hard parts of getting to success. So when you get there, you can really be proud of what you've created, because it took work. That's number 9. The last one is self-acceptance. And at first, I put self-love, but I have like a love-hate relationship with self-love, if that makes any sense. Self-love is important, but self-acceptance really goes hand in hand with self-love, because you have to accept yourself as you are, the goods, the bads, the uglies. That is a part of self-love. And for so long, I've always viewed myself through the eyes of other people, whether it's my grandmother, my mother, my friends, whoever my partner was at the time. I've always tried to measure up to what they were looking at or what they thought they saw. And it's only within the last few years that I've realized that I'm going to love myself regardless. I'm going to accept myself regardless, because I may not be perfect. I may have my flaws. I may be emotional. I may have traits that are kind of hard to deal with at times, but this is me, and I only get one body. I only get one life and one experience, and I'm not going to live it beating myself up about my flaws. I'll work on it. I'll progress. I'll, try to evolve as much as I can, but at the end of the day, all I have is me. Even though I have friends, I have family, I have people who love and care about me, I'm in this body, and I have to go everywhere this body goes, and I have to be my number one fan. I have to be my number one cheerleader, and I'm going to be that for myself, because if I don't, nobody else is going to go harder for me than I am. Nobody else is going to be my biggest fan. I have to do it. So accepting yourself is a part of self-love. And when you get to that point where you can wholeheartedly, the good, the bad, the ugly, the gruesome, when you get to that point where you can look at it right in the mirror and still accept yourself, that is a powerful thing. So those are my 10/11-ish lessons that I've learned in the past 30 years. And again, I'm so happy that I've reached this milestone. Not everybody makes it to 30. We have people who are dying left and right, 15, 21, 25. Life is you just never know. So I'm glad I made it to this point. I'm glad to be able to put the messy 20s behind. And I'm looking forward to what the 30s are going to bring. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, support. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.